Good afternoon. We are back on the record on docket number 2025-154E, Duke Energy Progress LLC's request for a rate increase. I think the company would have one more witness, or
Chair Powers,
yes.
I spoke with Duke Council before and was wondering whether we might be able to get some clarity on whether the commission wishes to hear from any additional witnesses beyond those which were provided to parties yesterday.
I think it's my understanding what we've asked for is all we want. I haven't heard any requests from any other commissioner.
Okay.
I think that's it for now. Of course, we got a good bit of housekeeping to do as far as getting all the exhibits and everything numbered and identified. But I don't expect anything else.
Great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
It's very helpful.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chair. The company would call its last witness, Heather Shirley Smith.
Come forward.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. Would you please state your name for the record? And please state your name for the record.
Heather Shirley Smith,
Thank you. And what is your business address?
40 West Broad, Greenville, South Carolina.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy. I'm our Vice President of Regulatory Affairs and Policy for South Carolina.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared 33 pages of pre-filed rebuttal testimony that were filed with the commission in this proceeding?
Yes.
If I asked you the same questions this afternoon, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would ask that Ms. Smith's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Ms. Smith will be entered the record as if given orally from the stand. Would you pull the microphone a little closer? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Smith, there were 3 exhibits, Smith Rebuttal Exhibits 1 through 3, that you prepared or caused to be prepared and were pre-filed with your rebuttal testimony. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have any changes to those exhibits at this time?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I would ask that Smith Rebuttal Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed rebuttal exhibits of witness Smith identified as 1 through 3 are marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 18.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Smith, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 7 pages of settlement testimony pre-filed with the commission in this proceeding?
Yes.
If I asked you the same questions that were contained within that pre-filed rebuttal testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I would ask that Ms. Smith's pre-filed settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed settlement testimony of Ms. Smith will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Smith, would you please provide a summary of your pre-filed testimony?
Sure. Good afternoon, Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission. In my rebuttal testimony, I provide context for evaluating certain recommendations by ORS. However, I am pleased to note that those issues have now been resolved through the 3 stipulations reached in this case: the revenue requirement stipulation, the large load stipulation, and the EEDSM stipulation. In my settlement testimony, I explained that the 3 stipulations reflect extensive negotiation and meaningful compromise across a wide range of complex issues. I note that the parties to this proceeding hold strong views on important issues, but we were still able to come to the table and work to present a just and reasonable resolution of all of those issues in this proceeding. The company agreed to including an overall reduction in the company's revenue requirement, adjusted recovery of certain costs, withdrew its proposed increase to the residential basic customer charge for residential customers, and the implementation of two new riders that you've heard about earlier today, the PTC rider and the CARE rider, to further mitigate rate impacts for customers. After following the public hearings held over the recent weeks, I believe that these features of the agreements reached in these dockets address many of the concerns we heard from participants in those hearings. Through provisions like these, I note that these stipulations reflect a fair and constructive balance, address customer rate impacts, while preserving the company's ability to continue making necessary investments for the benefit of its customers and the state. As noted in my settlement testimony, the Commission's settlement policies and procedures expressly favor compromise and encourage the use of stipulations to resolve contested matters. I point out in my settlement testimony that South Carolina policy in general is supportive of settlements and that finding agreement and resolving disputes helps ensure efficiency and judicial economy for the regulatory process. I believe these principles provide strong support for Commission approval of the stipulations in this case.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Chair, Ms. Smith is available for questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner questions. Commissioner Belser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Ms. Smith.
Hi.
You probably know where I'm coming from. You were here this morning. Were you in Bishopville when we heard from some of the farmers and Mr. Ott?
I was not in the room, but I was following the hearing and familiar with those discussions.
Is their issue mainly that they have so many meters because of the center pivot irrigation systems?
Yeah, I think that was certainly discussed. I think what we see is a wide range of issues. I'm learning a lot more about our agricultural customers over the last few weeks. And so when you look at greenhouses, center pivot irrigation that came up, grain drying facilities, there can be a lot of different usage profiles among different farming operations. So it's one of them.
I came on the commission in February of 19, and I think this was the third DEP rate case since that time. Does that sound familiar?
That sounds about right.
Okay. And we heard from farmers in either that first one or the second one. Is that when the seasonal tariff sheet was introduced?
I believe so. That's faded a little bit from my memory, but I believe that's around the time either it was introduced or tweaked. I can't remember exactly what happened during that case.
I'm trying to remember, and I think that it had something to do with trying to find something to help those farmers. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. It's something we've continued to stay at over the years. Certainly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I think you're the one to ask this. Mr. Brazino, on their adjustment number 21, I think for the amortization rate case expense, they wanted 3 years, I guess because of the way the rate cases seem to go, and the settlement chose 5 years. Does this mean, in your opinion, that the level that the expense may not be fully recovered at the time of the next rate case, or do you think that'll be an issue?
I hope it will be. That might be. We need to see where we wind up. I anticipate that this case will be less expensive than it could otherwise have been, given the 3 settlements in this case, and it's looking likely that we'll be here today and not a few weeks like we would in a litigated situation. So I think that it'll depend on when our next case is and that kind of thing. But I hope I'm answering your question. The tally's not in yet, I guess is what I'm saying.
You answered it well enough. I understand what you're saying. And relative to the, I guess, EEDSM stipulation, can you address, those provisions of Act 41 that, took into account?
Sure, absolutely. I think this is all of these things are important. Everything we've talked about today here is important, but I wanted to spend just another minute or two on really what Act 41 did when it came to EE and DSM. We've talked a lot in this room about the need to build generation, the need to build infrastructure, and you may remember this from our IRP. A feature of an all of the above energy strategy includes EE and DSM because it helps us shrink the challenge and it mitigates the need for new resources greater than what we're pursuing already. And the Energy Security Act allows us to be more aggressive when it comes to EE and DSM. When I look at the Act, Section 26, for example, it really lays some good groundwork on the cost effectiveness tests. So if you pass 2 of the 4 cost effectiveness tests, that's a good marker for moving forward with a program. It also highlights, and this is really particular to Duke, but looking at maximizing those EE and DSM programs across state lines, across the balancing area. And if you think about it with that kind of focus, spreading the administrative costs for EE and DSM over 4.5 million customers versus 885,000 customers in South Carolina, both entities combined. That really gives us a lot more opportunity to pass those cost effectiveness tests. Section 27 has some interesting features. It gives us new options for pursuing EE and DSM programs, but it also provides some opportunities for low-income EE and DSM programs. And that can be, we have some good programs that target low-income customers, but it can be a challenge because there can be budget constraints just to even getting the incentives or doing the things to take advantage of the program. And so in the Energy Security Act, the entire portfolio needs to be cost effective. So you're looking across the range of options, but that, it allows an opportunity for a low income program to not necessarily meet all those tests on its own, just as long as the portfolio is cost effective. So those are, important features, and I know that that's been on the mind of the commission, even hearing those things today. The General Assembly in that same section, Section 27, stressed and put emphasis on customers being able to control their bills, and that's what EE and DSM help customers do. And it mandates that the utilities provide all programs that are cost effective, and it has new reporting requirements as well as the feature of a triennial review across the program portfolio. So that's really the background for the provisions that you'll see in the EE and DSM stipulation. There's also 2 additional sections, and those are the ones that are actually called out in the EE DSM stipulation, and that is Section 29, which deals with customer-sided distributed energy resources, and Section 30 that talks about tariff on-bill opportunities. So in Section 29, the section that deals with distributed energy resources, the Act clarifies and expressly allows the Commission to approve really a novel construct where we could pair distributed energy resources with more traditional EE/DSM concepts as long as they're cost effective. And so this would allow you to pair renewables or storage with other features like heat pumps with certain technical features, smart home panels, renewable microgrids. It allows a broader range for these concepts to be paired in energy efficiency and demand side measure context. And so that's one of the things that we'll be working on as specified in the stipulation. Further, Section 30 that deals with residential EE and financing agreements. As I mentioned, it can sometimes be difficult for customers to move forward with certain measures. And so this would allow financing for residential EE and it really sets the standard for really what happens with the numbers, what happens with the calculation of interest rates and that kinds of thing, those kinds of things. And it's limited to residential properties. There's already a tariff on bill statute in existence today, but there were features and pieces of that really needed to be clarified. And the Energy Security Act does that, and that's another thing that we'll be working on coming out of the EE-DSM stipulation. I hope I got close to hitting what you wanted me to.
You touched a lot of bases there. I think I followed you. Circling back to, I think that's section 29. The part in here where I guess the company agrees to explore introducing programs such as solar as EE. It wasn't clear to me if that's what you were talking about also in section 29, but you're not saying that section says that solar is energy efficiency.
Well, it incorporates as a DER 5839-120C, and that provides for renewables and storage as DERs. So it wraps that into the definition. The Energy Security Act does, not the stipulation.
Okay. And in the work that you're going to be doing with, I guess, the other parties, we'll know when you're finished.
Exactly. I would look at it as the Energy Security Act really lays out the breadth of opportunities, and the EE and DSM stipulation charts a path for how we're going to move toward considering those opportunities. And it also, in the stipulation, provides to include the collaborative. So there is an EE-DSM collaborative where we socialize different ideas and take different ideas. There's a lot of different participants in that collaborative, and it's a think tank, if you will, for these kinds of programs where we get input and provide input in a collaborative setting with stakeholders. So there'll be multiple stops along the way, and if we find something that meets the tests and meets the criteria set out in the Energy Security Act, then we would bring that forth to the Commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I follow
Commissioner
up?
Belcher.
May I follow up on some of Commissioner
Certainly.
Caston's questions? Sorry, Ms. Smith. First of all, when you were talking about the collaborative just now, you said socialize those issues. You're not talking about like socializing costs, though.
No.
Okay.
Let me share and collaborate.
Okay, I avoid that word, and I just wanted the record to be clear. We're not talking about any kind of cost there.
No.
Okay. As I read this stipulation, and I felt like a lot of the intent was to engage the parties to these stipulations as the utility tries to move forward implementing Act 41. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes.
Okay. I applaud that effort from all the parties to try to come together, because hopefully I would hope that part of the thought process behind that is if it's a collaborative effort on the front end, it takes off some of the litigation on the back end. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, and I also think we now have code to help fill in some of the blanks. So I think the idea and the goal would be to bring something to the Commission that had a lot of support from multiple parties, and that we would give
Okay. And I just want
a comprehensive
That's
agreement.
kind of how I was looking at that stipulation, and I think it's a very worthwhile goal, and appreciate. Well, it's not just that one; it's all three of the stipulations. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Belcher. Any further commissioner questions?
Chair Powers.
Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you. So, Ms. Smith, let's talk about the farmers just a little bit more. Are you the company person that is responsible for talking to the farmers at this point, or is it?
I'm not, but I have some information for you. I was in the, I was certainly following the issues presented at the Bishopville hearing. I was in the meeting with the Farm Bureau that Mr. Pearson referred to earlier, and I've got a to-do list coming out of that meeting that I'm happy to share and talk about if you'd like for me to.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay. So we had some good stuff come out of that meeting. We have, and Mr. Cawley mentioned it earlier, we have a business experience team, but we actually have someone from that team who's quite passionate about the agricultural community, by the way. But she is assigned to be a resource for the South Carolina Farm Bureau and to be a resource going forward. And one of the things that we discussed is she will lead a team, including members of that business experience team, as well as a business energy advisor, to go to the South Carolina Farm Bureau annual meeting. I believe it's in December. But be a resource, have a desk, sit there and work with farmers to understand their bill. What can they do? What if there could be a rate that they could find relief from? But that's one of the efforts. There were also a number of sort of operational things that we've been working on that really reflect operations that may be somewhat unique to farmers. And when you think about things like transmission work or vegetation management, some of those types of operations can have unique impact to farmers. And so we're working on addressing some of those types of concerns. We also are working with the Farm Bureau on sending members certain tax exemptions and certain tax information, as well as we made a commitment to go through, take another look at our agricultural web pages and sort of reevaluate if they're the most useful that they could be. We're also committed to staying plugged in to agricultural key industry events. And then another thing that we heard is there can be some distress from our line extension policy. And that was mentioned earlier today. And so we will be working on some tweaks to our line extension policy to bring forth, we'll socialize it with stakeholders, but it's something that we intend to work toward bringing forth to the commission. We wouldn't be able to change that without commission approval, but we know that there are some things in our line extension policy that may potentially be tweaked to better meet those needs. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
And do the farmers have a primary spokesperson by chance? Is that Mr. Ott or?
It certainly appeared to be in the meeting that I was in. And I think we have a number of contacts within the organization. And so we committed to an ongoing dialogue. And I have, colleagues that have different touch points within that organization. But going forward, from sort of the day-to-day customer contact, the woman, her name is Leanne Purrier, and she will be a resource, and a point of contact moving forward from an individual customer level.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that update.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further commissioner questions?
Chair Powers.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. I've got two questions for you. One is, I'm going to a little bit more boldly ask the question, if to the extent that you know it, what is solar as EE? What does that mean? What is that?
It means that that you could look at a customer-sided distributed energy resource like solar, and whether that could be part of an energy efficiency or DSM program, given that it provides some relief for energy needs upon the system. And so that's something that we've looked at before. We didn't quite have the clarity that we have now in the Energy Security Act. And so those provisions got a lot of interest from a wide array of stakeholders during the process that Mr. Pearson talked about. So, it's going to be something that we look at again and continue to explore. And if we find a way forward, we will bring it back to the commission after the collaborative activity that I described earlier.
Thank you. That helps a lot. And in the EEDSM stipulation, you don't need to go there, but at the top of page 5, you don't need to go there. There's talk about a timeline and for the work that you'll be doing, and I guess my question is, how does that mesh with what you're already doing, and how does that sequence with the mechanism review? Is that known, or is that a question that you're going to be evaluating?
That's a question that we're going to be evaluating. I think the thing for we wanted to make sure that we had some answers to some big questions like the business combination, so that we would have a clearer line of sight on how the programs would operate. It would affect the cost effectiveness. It would affect some of those metrics. And so we're looking forward to talking about those issues with the settling parties and others that may be interested.
When would you expect that there might be a more fulsome answer on that?
Well, I would say in the coming months. It was a lot to get to today, so we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up again after we conclude this. But it's a conversation that we're eager to have. As you may remember from our IRP, we are quite aggressive on energy efficiency. Again, it really helps to shrink the challenge of what we're looking at over the future. So we have an interest in moving forward for our customers and hopefully arm in arm with other parties on what some of those opportunities may look like.
Thank you. I appreciate the answers.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Britt.
Again, I don't have a question. I have a comment. Growing up on that tobacco farm and cotton farm in Dillon County and still having family and friends in the PD being served by Duke Progress, I know they're excited because, again, thinking back when the chairman and I were young, we had CPNL, Freddie Kilowatt, whatever they call him. I think that's what you have.
Ready Kilowatt.
Ready Kilowatt, Freddie Ready. But now you have a Duke Progress offering services, and I listen to those folks in Florence and Bishopville and in Sumter, and I think y'all are a lifeline for all those farmers that really mean a lot to not only South Carolina but the country. So I appreciate the way y'all attack their problem and will continue to attack it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Britt. Any further commissioner questions? All right. Any redirect?
I have no redirect, Mr. Chair, and at risk of personal peril, I ask that Ms. Smith be excused.
We ought to make her stay, but at her risk if she leaves.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Welborn, while I got you and while we're talking about the Farm Bureau, you reserved to make an objection to the materials that were offered by Farm Bureau at the time. Now that you've had an opportunity to review what Farm Bureau offered, is there an objection to that? It was exhibit number 4.
Mr. Chair, thank you for re-raising that to my attention, and given the state of the case, we are not going to lodge an objection to that exhibit.
All right, so that's entered into the record.
Thank you, sir.
All right. As far as housekeeping with the rest of your witnesses, I think we've got to go through them and assign an exhibit numbers, etc. And who's going to do that?
I'm going to pass the baton back to Mr. Robinson. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Chair, I have the utmost privilege to be able to do that here today. So whenever you're ready, we can begin.
I'm looking at the list. We got Tim Pearson, we got Jacob Colley, already in the record. So if you're looking at the same list, you just go ahead with it.
Yes, sir. I have the list as well. You are correct. I'm looking at the cast of witnesses here. If you'd like to go in that order, is that
Yes.
okay? All right. So, Chair, I believe Tim Pearson and Michael Callahan and Jacob Colley, as you indicated, are in, and as well as Jim Coyne and Jonathan Bird are already in the record. We will transition to Shannon Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell filed direct testimony consisting of 29 pages, as well as 2 direct exhibits.
All right. The direct testimony of Ms. Caldwell be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. Her exhibits, direct exhibits 1, 2 are marked for identification. We place the record as exhibit number 19.
And Chair, I should have asked this clarification. She has rebuttal as well. Would you like me to do direct and then rebuttal, or you want me to say it all together?
We can do them all as one composite exhibit, maybe certainly be quicker.
That works, Chair. So I will also add to Ms. Caldwell, if I may, her rebuttal testimony consisting of 35 pages, and Caldwell rebuttal exhibit number 1.
All right, and she had supplemental rebuttal too as well.
That is correct, Chair. Thank you. She also had supplemental rebuttal consisting of 4 pages, and supplemental rebuttal exhibit number 1.
All right, the rebuttal and supplemental rebuttal of Ms. Caldwell will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The rebuttal exhibit 1 and the supplemental rebuttal exhibit 1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 20.
Thank you. Next on my list, Chair, is Mr. Paul Fisk. Mr. Fisk had direct testimony consisting of 16 pages and no exhibit. He also had 10 rebuttal testimony consisting of 10 pages and no exhibit.
All right. The direct and rebuttal testimony of Paul Fisk will be entered into record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Next on my list, I have Mr. Bennett Fogg. Mr. Fogg submitted direct testimony consisting of 20 pages and Fogg direct exhibit number 1. Mr. Fogg also had 12 pages of rebuttal testimony and no exhibit.
All right. The direct and rebuttal testimony of Mr. Fogg will be entered in record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibit, known as exhibit number 1 of Mr. Fogg, marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 21.
Thank you. I know Mr. Guyton appeared today and his testimony was entered in, so I will move on to Stephen Capps on my list. Mr. Capps did file direct testimony consisting of 24 pages, as well as no exhibits. He also filed rebuttal testimony consisting of 12 pages, also no exhibits.
All right. The direct and rebuttal testimony of Mr. Capps will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Chair. Next is Ms. Tyrone Tabucci. Ms. Tabucci had 4 direct testimony consisting of 14 pages and 2 direct exhibits. No rebuttal.
The direct testimony of Mr. Tabucci will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits, known as direct exhibits 1 and 2, are marked for identification. We place the record as exhibit number 22.
Thank you, Chair. Next on my list is Mr. Tim Hill. Mr. Hill had direct testimony consisting of 21 pages and 8 direct exhibits. No rebuttal.
All right. The direct testimony of Mr. Hill will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibits known as direct exhibits 1 through 8 of Timothy Hill marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 23.
Thank you, Chair. I will note that, as I stated in the beginning of our case, Mr. John Spanos did not file any direct, so I will move past him and move to Mr. Nicholas Spiros. Mr. Spiros had direct testimony consisting of 12 pages and 3 direct exhibits. He also had rebuttal testimony consisting of 13 pages, no exhibits.
The direct and rebuttal testimony of Ms. Spiros will enter the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibits, known as exhibits 1 through 3 of Ms. Spiros, are marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 24.
Thank you. Next on my list, Chair, is Ms. Janice Hager. Ms. Hager filed direct testimony consisting of 26 pages and 2 direct exhibits. She also filed rebuttal testimony consisting of 26 pages, no exhibits.
All right, the direct and rebuttal testimony, Ms. Hager is entered into the records if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibits 1 and 2 of Ms. Hager are identified and marked for identification and will be placed in the records as exhibit number 25.
Thank you. Ms. Ward testified here today, so I think her testimony has been entered. I will move on to Mr. David Wathen. Mr. Wathen had rebuttal testimony consisting of 22 pages and 5 rebuttal exhibits.
The rebuttal testimony, Mr. Watson, will be entered in records if given orally from the stand. The 5 rebuttal exhibits, known as 1 through 5, are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 26.
Thank you, Chair. And next on my list is Mr. John Taylor. Mr. Taylor had rebuttal testimony consisting of 37 pages and 1 rebuttal exhibit.
All right, the rebuttal testimony of Mr. John Taylor will be entered into records as given orally from the stand. The rebuttal exhibit, known as rebuttal exhibit number 1, is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 27.
Thank you, Chair. And as you know, Ms. Heather Shirley Smith did appear today, and her testimony was into the record. I believe that wraps up our witnesses. Chair, we do have verifications here in person if you would like those, or if the court reporter or the clerk would want those to be filed. Either preference we can accommodate.
All right, and we just need the verifications before we deal with this case from all parties, and hopefully that can be done next week at the latest.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there anything further from the company?
Chair, at this time, the company concludes its case.
Thank you very much. We'll next go to South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Chair Powers, members of the Commission. I would like to call DCA witness Aaron Rothschild to the stand. He is appearing virtually.
All right. Mr. Rothschild, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I need to see you. If you hang on 1 second. There you are.
Okay, great.
Mr. Rothschild, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Your witness.
Mr. Rothschild, may you please state your full name and business address for the record?
Yes, my name is Aaron Rothschild. My business address is 15 Lake Road in Ridgefield, Connecticut.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Rothschild Financial Consulting, and I am president of the company.
Mr. Rothschild, did you prepare 104 pages of pre-filed direct testimony for this docket, which was filed on September 16th, 2025?
I did.
If I asked you the same questions today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
And did your direct testimony include 32 pages of appendices labeled Appendix A through Appendix G?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to have the pre-filed direct testimony of Aaron Rothschild entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Rothschild will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Mr. Rothschild, did you also prepare with your direct 18 pages of exhibits labeled ALR1 through ALR5?
I did.
Mr. Chairman, I move to have the exhibits ALR1 through ALR5 entered as the next applicable hearing exhibit.
All right, is it 5 or 6? 5. Okay. All right. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Rothschild identified as ALR 1 through 5, marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 28.
It is 5, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rothschild, did you also prepare 43 pages of surrebuttal testimony, which was filed in this docket on October 17th, 2025?
I did.
And if I asked you those questions today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to have the pre-filed surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Rothschild entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Rothschild will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
And Mr. Rothschild, do your testimonies include discussions of issues related to DEP's rate of return?
Yes.
And Mr. Rothschild, have you reviewed the proposed joint settlement in the current proceeding?
Yes, I have. And I understand that the proposed settlement is a compromise among parties that takes many factors into consideration. My role is to provide the rate of return perspective, an objective analysis that can help inform those discussions and assist the Commission in its review. The Department has joined the settlement as a compromise, and I recommend the Commission approve it.
Thank you. Chair Powers, members of the Commission, Mr. Rothschild is available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Rothschild.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Appreciate your input into this case, and just have a few questions for you. I know a lot of your work is based on options, and I have a few questions. So, are options ownership in the company, like stock? Is it an ownership interest in the company?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, the options are also referred to as derivatives because their value is 100% derived on the value of the ownership or the equity price of the company. So although an owner of a stock option does not own any part of the company, like the equity owner itself, the underlying, its value is derived from the equity price or the value of the company itself.
Okay. But an option owner does not get to vote on actions such as the board of directors. Would that be correct?
That's true, unless they own stock as well. If an investor who just owns stock, a stock option would not have any voting rights. That's correct.
And option holders do not get to collect dividends. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And generally speaking, options are a little bit more volatile than the underlying stock. Is that true?
Actually, that's a good question. I'm generally using the options to measure implied volatility. And that's why people often, when they look to like the VIX index, they look at stock options as a measure of implied volatility of the underlying stocks. So I didn't then go and do a comparison of how the volatility of option prices compare to the underlying. Instead, I use those option prices, as is often referred to in the press, the VIX index, as a way to judge investors' implied volatility. So I have not done that study to see the realized volatility, are options or the underlying stock more or less volatile. I haven't done that specific study.
All right. So, the concepts of the Hope and Bluefield Supreme Court cases are, very, very much tied to the investors in the company. Do you have any thoughts or knowledge or concern as to how the Hope and Bluefield concepts would relate to options.
Oh yeah, in terms of Hope and Bluefield, in terms of the requirements that I stated in my testimony, what we're trying to do is determine what DEP's cost of equity is, because we want the authorized ROE to be set commensurate with the returns investors expect in other types of investments with similar risks. And that's why I chose to use options as one part of my analysis, because it's a direct measure of what investors are requiring as a return, as opposed to just looking to analyst opinions or historical data. We're looking at real world investor decisions that are being made in real time that we can see. Right? So that's why I believe it's consistent with the requirements of Hope and Bluefield. In terms of, as your questions about options not being a direct ownership of the company, but the reason why I think they're appropriate is because they are, again, they're derivatives. So their value is 100% related to what the value of the ownership of the company will be. That's why they are so relevant and appropriate, I believe, and valuable for, I think, for a commission to consider as part of an overall assessment of what DEP's cost of equity is.
All right, and so basically, I think part of your opening statement is that you support the stipulation and you support the 9.99% ROE and the 47.51 debt to equity ratios that are part of the settlement. My understanding is that you are supporting that.
I am, as you said in my opening statement, I focus on rate of return. The settlement is based on considering broader set of issues. So I do support it, but as I stated, my focus is providing the objective information in my testimonies regarding rate of return and cost of equity.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further commissioner questions? Mr. Rothschild, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is any redirect?
No redirect from DCA.
Thank you very much. All right. The only other witness.
Chair Powers, at my own peril, may Mr. Rothschild be dismissed?
I don't know what else we can do with him. You're excused, Mr. Rothschild.
Thank you.
The only other witnesses that have been requested by commissioners are with the Office of Regulatory Staff. I'm thinking it may be quicker going down this list if we could go ahead and put these other testimonies and exhibits in the record. And I think the Department of Consumer Affairs had one other witness, Mr. Michael Dupree.
Yes, sir. We have Michael Dupree. Mr. Dupree had 65 pages of pre-filed direct testimony. This included 6 pages of an appendix labeled Appendix A, and there were 15 pages of exhibits with his direct labeled MWD 1 through MWD 11.
All right. The pre-filed testimony of Mr. Dupree will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand, and the pre-filed exhibits MWD 1 through 11 are marked for identification and placed in the record as number 29.
Thank you, Chair. And Mr. Dupree also prepared 18 pages of surrebuttal, and this surrebuttal had 3 pages of exhibits labeled MWD-1SR and through MWD-2SR.
All right. Did you say surrebuttal?
Yes, sir.
The surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Dupree will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The surrebuttal exhibits known as 1SR and 2SR are identified and placed in the record as exhibit number 30.
That's it. The department rests its case.
All right. That concludes your case. Thank you very much. All right, the next one on my list is the United States Department of Defense and all other federal executive agencies. And it appears that you had two witnesses.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So Mr. Mike Gorman filed pre-direct testimony, which we would be asked to be entered into the record. That's 143 pages in total, to include exhibits MPG 1 through MPG 19 that we would ask to be marked and entered into the record.
The direct testimony of Mr. Gorman will be placed in the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibits MPG 1 through 19 identified and placed in the record as exhibit number 31.
Further, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Brian Andrews filed pre-direct testimony, 21 pages in total, to include one exhibit marked Andrews Exhibit 1 that we would ask to be entered into the record.
All right. Pre-filed testimony of Mr. Andrews will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibit, exhibit 1, is marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 32.
Further, Mr. Brian Andrews provided rebuttal testimony, 104 pages in total, to include exhibit BCA 1-R that we would ask to be entered in the administrative record.
All right. The rebuttal testimony of Mr. Andrews will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibit known as BCA-1 rebuttal exhibit, marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 33.
Mr. Chairman, I just note we pre-filed verifications with each of those testimonies at the moment they were filed. That's all we have, sir.
Thank you very much. And that concludes your case?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. All right. New course still. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Chairman Powers. On behalf of New Course Steel, South Carolina, Jeffrey Pollock submitted direct testimony comprising 40 pages, no exhibits.
All right. The direct testimony of Mr. Pollock will be in the record as if given orally from the stand.
And Mr. Pollock also submitted 31 pages of surrebuttal testimony, along with a surrebuttal exhibit, 3 pages long, exhibit JP-SR1.
All right. The surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Jeffrey Pollock will be in the record as if given orally from the stand. Surrebuttal exhibit JP-SR1 is placed in the record as exhibit number 34.
And Chairman Powers, we will also be submitting verifications for both sets of testimony, and that concludes our case.
Thank you very much. We now go to Sierra Club.
Chairman Powers, the Sierra Club provided direct and surrebuttal testimony from Mr. Ron Nelson. Mr. Nelson had direct testimony consisting of 87 pages and 2 exhibits labeled RN1 and RN2. We would ask that those be admitted into the record.
All right. The direct testimony of Mr. Ron Nelson will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibits RN1 and 2 marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 34.
Thank you. And Mr. Nelson.
Confidential.
35, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
He's got confidential testimony.
I know.
Mr. Nelson also filed surrebuttal testimony consisting of 22 pages with no exhibits. We would also respectfully request that that be entered into the record.
All right. The surrebuttal testimony will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and there are no exhibits with the surrebuttal testimony.
That is correct. And we were waiting to confirm that the commission had no questions for him, but we will now go ahead and file a verification for Mr. Nelson.
All right. Mr. Nelson also had a confidential version that was presented, and we will mark that as exhibit number 36.
Oh, thank you. Yes, he filed his, I apologize. Yes, he filed his direct testimony in both public and confidential versions. Thank you for that clarification.
We will also, his confidential testimony will be entered in the records as if given orally from the stand. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes your case.
It does.
Thank you very much. All right. CCL, Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, Upstate Forever, and Vote Solar.
Yes, thank you, Chair Powers. We have 3 witnesses, each with direct and rebuttal testimony. I'll start with witness Jake Duncan. Witness Duncan pre-filed direct testimony consisting of 48 pages. That testimony was supposed to include 2 exhibits, JD1 and JD2, but we inadvertently omitted the second exhibit, which we subsequently filed with the Commission on September 22nd.
All right. And his was a corrected direct testimony, is that correct? Or just corrected exhibit?
I think we could enter in his initially filed direct testimony and then exhibit JD2 from the corrected version.
The direct testimony of Jake Duncan will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibits, direct exhibits JD1 and 2 with number 2 to be submitted will be marked for identification and entered to the record at exhibit number 37.
Thank you. Witness Duncan also had 10 pages of rebuttal testimony with no exhibits.
All right. Rebuttal testimony, Mr. Duncan, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Moving on to John Wilson. Mr. Wilson pre-filed confidential direct testimony consisting of 54 pages, along with 2 direct exhibits, JW1 and a confidential exhibit, JW2.
All right. The direct testimony, both public and confidential, of John Wilson will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibits, JW1 and JW2, being confidential, marked for identification, be placed in the record as exhibit number 38.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson also had 17 pages of rebuttal testimony.
The rebuttal testimony, Mr. Wilson, be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. And lastly, witness Albert Lynn. Witness Lynn had direct testimony consisting of 34 pages along with 1 direct exhibit, AL1. We filed a corrected version of his direct testimony yesterday on October 28th to address a footnote error. So would ask that his corrected direct testimony be entered into the record.
The corrected direct testimony of Albert Lynn will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibit, AL1, will be entered in marked for identification, placed in the record exhibit number 39.
Thank you. And lastly, witness Lynn also had 16 pages of rebuttal testimony.
The rebuttal testimony of Mr. Lynn will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Chair Powers. That concludes our case.
All right. We combine the direct and the confidential testimony as far as an exhibit. And I think that those are the only witnesses that are not going to be addressed that have confidential testimony. And for the record, any of these that we put up, the confidential version shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary. And that goes to all confidential exhibits to this point. All right. Next, Walmart.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Walmart filed the direct testimony of Steve W. Chris consisting of 34 pages, and we would ask that be entered into the record as though read.
All right. The direct testimony of Mr. Chris will be entered in the record as given orally from the stand.
And Mr. Chris, with his direct testimony, also filed 8 exhibits numbered SWC 1 through SWC 8, and we would ask that those be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness Chris marked and identified as SWC 1 through 8 are marked for identification and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 40.
We will submit his verification for the testimony next week, and that is all we have for our case.
Thank you very much.
Thank
The
you.
other two parties to the docket, South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce and the South Carolina Energy Users Committee, I want to confirm that neither have a witness to present.
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think that gets us down to the Office of Regulatory Staff. And there were requests for 4 different witnesses. You may proceed however you desire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. ORS calls Mr. Richard A. Baudino, who is appearing virtually.
All right. Mr. Baudino,
Yes, sir. Good
how are you
afternoon.
today?
I'm very well, thank you. Hope you are.
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You're a witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Baudino, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Richard Baudino.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed with J. Kennedy and Associates and in the capacity of consultant.
Mr. Baudino, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 48 pages of corrected direct testimony pre-filed in this proceeding on October 17th, 2025?
I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your pre-filed corrected direct testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed corrected direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the pre-filed corrected direct testimony of Richard A. Baudino be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The corrected direct testimony of Mr. Baudino will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Baudino, did you also cause to be filed with your corrected direct testimony 4 exhibits marked as RAB1 through RAB4?
Yes.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your exhibits?
I do not.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that Mr. Baudino's exhibits RAB1 through RAB4 be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
All right. The exhibits of Mr. Baudino identified as RAB 1 through 4 are marked for identification. We entered into the record as exhibit number 41.
Mr. Baudino, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 16 pages of rebuttal testimony pre-filed in this case on October 17th, 2025?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed rebuttal testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that the pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Baudino be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Corrected rebuttal testimony of Mr. Baudino will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Baudino, did you also cause to be filed with your pre-filed rebuttal testimony 3 exhibits marked as rebuttal exhibit RAB1 through rebuttal exhibit RAB3?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes, edits, or corrections to your rebuttal exhibits?
I do not.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that the 3 exhibits marked as rebuttal exhibit RAB1 through rebuttal exhibit RAB3 be entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The rebuttal exhibits of Mr. Baudino identified as RAB 1 through 3 rebuttal are marked for identification, entered into the record as exhibit number 42.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Baudino, are you aware of the revenue requirement stipulation entered into the record of this case?
Yes, I am, and I have reviewed that.
And in light of the revenue requirement stipulation and the fact that all parties agree or do not oppose the stipulation, Do you believe the agreed upon 9.99% return on equity is reasonable?
Yes, I think within the broader context of the stipulation, that is reasonable. And of course, that does fall at the top of my recommended range to the commission. However, I think, that is but one component within that settlement, and the fact that the parties who did submit full analyses on rate of return, which is, of course, the company, the ORS, the DCA, and the Department of Defense, we've all signed on to the stipulation. So I do believe that 9.9 is reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Baldino. Mr. Chair, Mr. Baldino is available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Torrey. Any commissioner questions? All right. He had been requested. Apparently there are no questions.
Chair Powers, I'll just say I probably am the one who requested it, but in light of what he stated, as well as prior questions, I have no questions. But I do appreciate him being available.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Baldino.
Thank you.
Chair Powers, at this time, Office of Regulatory Staff calls to the stand Anthony Brazino, Daniel Sullivan, and Michael Seaman Wynn.
All right, come forward, gentlemen.
Would you please raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear that the testimonial given this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mr. Sullivan, I'll start with you. Mr. Sullivan, please state your name for the record.
My name is Daniel F. Sullivan.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff as the Director of the Audit Department.
Did you prepare, cause to be prepared, 46 pages of direct pre-filed testimony in this matter on September 16th that included both confidential and public versions?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that pre-filed testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I were to ask you the same questions today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers, ORS asks that Mr. Sullivan's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that the confidential version remain under seal.
The pre-filed direct testimony, both public and confidential, will be entered in the records if given orally from the stand. Confidential version shall remain confidential, as explained in earlier cases.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, did you also pre-file one exhibit with your pre-filed direct testimony marked as Exhibit DFS1?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that exhibit?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers, ORS asks that Mr. Sullivan's Exhibit DFS1 be entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit, subject to the confidentiality ruling you've already made.
The pre-filed exhibit of witness Sullivan, identified as DFS1, both public and confidential, marked for identification, will be placed in the records exhibit number 43 and subject to the rules of confidentiality as stated earlier.
Mr. Sullivan, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared 9 pages of rebuttal testimony on October the 17th in this matter that included both confidential and public versions?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any corrections or changes to that?
No, I do not.
If I were to ask you the same questions today as those posing your pre-filed testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers or has asked that Mr. Sullivan's rebuttal testimony be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
The rebuttal testimony of Mr. Sullivan will be entered in the record, both public and confidential, as if given orally from the stand. That confidential version will remain confidential as stated earlier.
And Mr. Sullivan, did you pre-file one exhibit with your rebuttal testimony that was marked as rebuttal exhibit DFS 1 and included both public and confidential versions?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any corrections or changes to that exhibit?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers or has asked that Mr. Sullivan's rebuttal exhibit DFS 1 be entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed rebuttal exhibit, Mr. Sullivan identified as rebuttal DFS1, both public and confidential, marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 44.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, are you aware that all parties in this case, as it relates to the revenue requirement stipulation, either supported it, took no position on it, or did not oppose it?
Yes, I am.
Did you review the revenue requirement stipulation in this matter?
Yes, I have.
And does ORS support commission approval of the revenue requirement stipulation in this matter?
Yes, ORS does.
Thank you. Mr. Brazino, could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Anthony D. Berzino.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the state of South Carolina as the Deputy Director of the Audit Department for the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared 22 pages of pre-filed direct testimony in this docket on September 16th?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I were to ask you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers or has asked that Mr. Brazino's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Brazino will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
And Mr. Brazino, did you pre-file 5 pages of rebuttal testimony on October 17th?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to your rebuttal testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I were to ask you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed rebuttal testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers or has asked that Mr. Brazino's rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Brazino will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Seaman Wynn, please state your name for the record.
My name is Michael Seaman Wynn.
And what's your, by whom are you employed and what's your occupation?
I'm employed by the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff as the Deputy Director of Energy Operations.
Mr. Seaman Wynn, did you cause to be prepared in this docket 16 pages of corrected direct testimony on September 29th, 2025?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I were to ask you the same questions today as those posed in your corrected direct testimony, would your answer be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers or has asked that the pre-filed corrected direct testimony of Mr. Seaman Wynn be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The corrected direct testimony of Mr. Seaman Wynn will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Seaman Wynn, with your corrected pre-filed direct testimony, did you also file 3 exhibits marked as exhibits MSH-1 through MSH-3?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or corrections to your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers or has asked that Mr. Seaman Wynn's direct testimony exhibits be marked for identification and entered in the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness Seaman Wynn are marked for identification. We place the record as exhibit number 45. Those are MSH 1 through 3.
Mr. Seaman Wynn, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 8 pages of rebuttal testimony that was filed with this commission on October 17th?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I were to ask you the same questions today as those posed in your pre-filed testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers or has asked that the pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Seaman Wynn be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Seaman Wynn will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
And with your pre-filed rebuttal testimony, did you also file 3 rebuttal exhibits marked as MSH-1 through rebuttal MSH-3?
Yes.
Do you have any corrections or changes to those exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers, ORS asks that Mr. Seaman Wynn's rebuttal exhibits be marked for identification and entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed rebuttal exhibits of witness Seaman Wynn, identified as rebuttal exhibits MSH 1 through 3, are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 46.
Mr. Seaman Wynn, are you aware that all parties to this case either supported, did not oppose, or took no position on the revenue requirement stipulation?
Yes,
Did you review the stipulation?
I did.
Does ORS support commission approval of the revenue requirement stipulation?
Yes.
And Mr. Brazino, I skipped you last time. I'm coming back to you. Same questions. Are you aware that all parties in this matter supported, did not object to, or took no position on the revenue requirement stipulation?
Yes,
Did you have an opportunity to review that stipulation?
I have.
And does ORS support commission approval of this revenue requirement stipulation?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Chair Powers, this panel is available for commission questions.
Thank you, Ms. Rainey. Any commissioner questions?
Mr. Chair,
Vice Chair Williams.
I don't have a question. I do have a comment. I just want to say to the tech staff, this was a lot of work, and we we went over all of it. So I just want to say thank you for your hard work. That goes to all the parties, but we were looking very closely at the numbers. So appreciate the work put into it in the testimony.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams, and I would like to thank the others that aren't here from ORS today for all the work that they put into. Same with the company for all the responses they provided to us during this process.
Thank you, Vice Chair Williams. Any other commissioner questions?
Chair
Commissioner
Powell.
Caston.
Still have a lot of people back there if you want to get them to come up. No, I'm kidding. Mr. Wynn, this is probably a few series of questions for you. If you want to pass them down the line, you can. But remind me, how long have you been employed with ORS? Oh, if you got to count, that's a long time.
It's coming up on 2 decades.
You don't look that old. Start when you were 12. And you've been a witness at rate case proceedings.
The last count, well over 60 times.
Wow. Over 60. All right. Are you aware that one of our ORS's statutory duties is to serve as facilitator or otherwise act directly or indirectly to resolve disputes and issues involving matters within the jurisdiction of the commission? I think that's 58-4, 50A9 as amended by Act 41.
I am aware of that section of the regulations.
And I'm not asking you for your legal opinion or conclusion. And are you aware that the South Carolina Energy Security Act, Act number 41 of 2025, added language to ORS's statutory responsibility in this section, which now requires ORS, in the context of settlement negotiations, to consider any applicable requirements set for the commission in its enabling legislation 58-3-40.
I am aware. Yes, sir.
With all that in mind, how does this particular stipulations, plural, the 3, effectuate ORS's new statutory responsibilities under Act 41 with respect to this section? And I'll give you a minute to think about that because I'd like to give you a heads up, but.
There's a fair amount to unpack there, Commissioner. What I can definitely say is that ORS has been working diligently with all of the parties to bring this settlement agreement to the Commission. While I was not directly involved in the negotiations, I know that there were numerous iterations and a lot of different positions amongst all of the parties that there were times when it looked like a settlement agreement wasn't going to happen. But there was give and take amongst all of the parties. There were positions that were discussed, rediscussed, negotiated upon, and then settled upon by the settling parties, and all the rest of the parties did not object to the settlement agreement. In discussions that I was in, the requirements of Act 41 came up. The requirements of both sections of code that you brought up were discussed at length. And I would say that ORS has strived to meet those obligations and has succeeded. As well as you can see, we have a settlement that is brought to the commission by all of the parties. So I would say that we have fulfilled all the obligations of both sets of regulations you addressed.
So that 20 years of experience is coming in handy. Is that what you're saying?
The laws change a lot over the years, Commissioner, and we are operating under the ones that are currently in place.
And I want to, I guess, ditto what Vice Chair Williams said for all of you. I know it must be tough. It's tough on this end, and we don't have to be in the room with all y'all. So I expect that was a challenge in itself. But thank you. No more questions.
Any further commissioner questions? Hearing none, gentlemen, thank you very much. Ms. Rainey, who will be going over the remaining witnesses, Mr. Story?
I'll do it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next one I have is Mr. Lane Collin. Corrected direct consisting of 27 pages and 2 exhibits.
All right. The corrected direct testimony of Mr. Lane Collin will be placed in the record as if given orally from the stand. Corrected direct exhibits LK 1 through 2 are marked for identification and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 47.
And Mr. Collin also had rebuttal testimony consisting of 18 pages, no exhibits.
Rebuttal testimony of Mr. Collin will be placed in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Next we have Brandon S. Bickley. Mr. Bickley had corrected direct testimony consisting of 35 pages filed in public disclosure and confidential versions.
All right. The corrected direct testimony, public and confidential, of Mr. Bickley will be entered in the record as given orally from the stand. The confidential version shall be protected under the rules.
The corrected direct testimony also had 3 exhibits. Those are also confidential, Mr. Chair.
All right. Corrected direct exhibits of Mr. Bickley identified as corrected direct BSB 1 through 3, public and confidential, marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 48.
And finally, Mr. Bickley had rebuttal testimony consisting of 7 pages filed in public disclosure and confidential versions, but no exhibits.
The rebuttal testimony of Mr. Bickley will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Next, we have Omari Thompson. Mr. Thompson had direct testimony consisting of 7 pages and 1 exhibit.
The direct testimony of Mr. Thompson shall be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibit of Mr. Thompson identified as exhibit ORT-1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 49.
Mr. Thompson had surrebuttal testimony consisting of 5 pages and no exhibits.
The surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Thompson will be placed into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Next, we have Donald Shane Hyatt. Mr. Hyatt had direct testimony consisting of 9 pages and 1 exhibit.
The direct testimony of Mr. Donald Shane Hyatt will be entered into the records as if given orally from the stand. The exhibit of Mr. Donald Shane Hyatt identified as direct exhibit DSH-1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 50.
Next, we have James Finley Salter. He had direct testimony consisting of 24 pages and 1 exhibit filed in public disclosure and confidential versions.
The direct testimony of Mr. Salter will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibit known as JFS-1 of Mr. Salter will be marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 51. The confidential versions are protected under the confidential procedures outlined earlier in the hearing.
And Mr. Salter had surrebuttal testimony consisting of 14 pages and 1 exhibit, also filed in public disclosure and confidential versions.
The surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Salter will be entered in the records if given orally from the stand. The surrebuttal exhibit, known as JFS-1, is marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 42. The confidential versions are protected.
David M.
52, not 42, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David M. Herpel had direct testimony consisting of 15 pages and 7 exhibits.
All right, the direct testimony of Mr. David M. Herpel will be entered the record as if given orally from the stand. The direct exhibit DMH 1 through 7 identified is marked for identification and we place the record as exhibit number 53.
And Mr. Herpel had surrebuttal testimony consisting of 5 pages and 7 exhibits.
Surrebuttal testimony of Mr. Herpel will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The surrebuttal exhibits of Mr. Herpel identified as surrebuttal exhibits DMH 1 through 7 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 54.
And finally, John W. Childs had corrected direct testimony consisting of 44 pages and 3 exhibits.
Corrected direct testimony of Mr. Childs will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The directed exhibits of Mr. Childs identified as JWC 1 through 3 marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 55.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and that's all of the ORS witnesses.
All right, thank you. And does that conclude ORS's case?
That concludes ORS's case. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else from anyone? All right, well, I thank you all for your patience and getting through this. Thank you for the hard work in reaching a conclusion as to what you think is the best interest of the public. We are adjourned.